Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Keith Bryant Show. We're at day 2 of Apex. I'm here with my first guest today. It's Jeff from SAKI. We're going to start talking about how SAKI have done during COVID and how they're doing coming out of this wonderful disease, which is changing the world for everybody.
Good morning, and thanks for having me today. Appreciate it.
No, so COVID, how are you coming out of it, and how did it change your business?
Well, my responsibility is North America, and what we were trying to accomplish in 2020 and 2021 was building up our infrastructure. So for us, the biggest challenge is at the start. I would say that having been in this industry for 40 years with a variety of different responsibilities along the way, the first challenge we had was just protecting our people. And those are some of the toughest decisions I've had to make in 40 years in this industry, and that is deciding who's going to travel, why they're going to travel, and when there's going to travel. After that, it was trying to figure out how we're going to support our customers because the customers couldn't travel. Oftentimes, we couldn't travel to the customers, so we've had to invent new ways of trying to do remote diagnostics, remote troubleshooting, installing machines remotely, and training customers remotely. So I think one of the things that comes out of COVID is all of us suppliers here have gotten really good and really efficient at doing things better than we did before because we weren't forced to try to find new ways of doing things. So for us, we've done a lot to build up the infrastructure. We have a brand new solution center demo room over in the Chicagoland area with about $1.5 million worth of inspection machines in there. We've hired and trained application engineers across the country. We have all the support tools in there, like training and like spare parts. So even though COVID slowed us down in a couple of areas, we had a chance to really accomplish some really great things and position ourselves to where we are today to really be considered a great supplier here in the United States and in Mexico. So for us now, we're focusing on building up our sales channel, tracking more sales reps, and continuing to build the brand here.
So COVID effectively gave you a little bit of a fire break where you could restructure things and improve the stuff that you have, and now you're coming out of the, let's say, coming out of the gate flying.
That's exactly what the strategy was. We could see that was going to happen in in mid 2020. We all saw the handwriting on the wall. So there were a few orders to get. So what we did is really focused on positioning ourselves. So when we came out of COVID, we were ready to fight, and that's where we are today.
And what about new technologies that have come along during the COVID time that you can get out there to your customers now?
Yeah, a couple of interesting trends that we see is that even though components are smaller and smaller, like ON005s and those types of components, an interesting trend right now is that because there's so much accountability and building quality in your product, that there's a lot of need for back-end inspection. Oftentimes, when you think of AOI, you're thinking of normal components, chip caps and BGAs and those types of things. What we're seeing is there's a lot of demand by a customer's customer to do automatic inspection on the back end. And when you look at the back end, it's not really small stuff close to the board. It's tall connectors, it's coils, it's big capacitors, it's those types of things, which normally aren't really compatible to a normal AOI machine because the AOI machines are usually looking at things closer to the board. So one of the things we've done on the SAKI side is we've built in the capability to measure things all the way up to 2 inches. So now we can look at 01005 chip caps, and on the same machine we can look at tall coils and things all the way up to 2 inches tall. So for us, it's not only it's helped us on our traditional front end, PC board assembly, but it's already opened up a market for us on the back end with the final assembly inspection. In fact, we just received an order 2 weeks ago from one customer for $2 million, and it's all back end inspection stuff. So for us, we see a new trend of actually doing more inspection on the back end.
Okay, and is that like a second inspection step, or are you doing everything at the same time? And if the answer is yes, we're doing everything at the same time, how do you cope with the tall components shadowing all the stuff that's close to them?
Well, you're doing it in one machine. The board enters the machine one time and you inspect everything, but we have the ability to raise and lower the head. So we can bring the head over, position it at the height we need for those components, and then move over to the next components and raise it up higher. And that keeps our focal range the distance it needs to be in order to be able to see things low, tall, and in between.
Okay, so you have really a good level of flexibility in the systems then.
100%. Yeah, and in our SAKI systems, another thing that's interesting is even if you buy a machine for AOI, we can set the machine up to actually do solder paste inspection, pre-reflow AOI and post-reflow AOI all in the same machine. So if anybody is looking for an MPI type machine or they're in a batch build operation, you can actually buy one machine to accommodate all three different processes, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so that helps what we used to call the mom and pop shops over here for sure.
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
And then, another trend that we see is, the X-ray. If you look at all of the different segments of the market here, one of them that's going to be the fastest growing over the next 10 years is going to be X-ray. It's going to outpace everyone. 5 years ago, people thought X-ray was a nice to have type of process and tool in place. But today, with all of the leadless components, QFNs and BGAs, and it's really becoming a gotta have type of tool. So I think you're going to see X-ray really kind of explode over the next 3 to 5 years because there's no other way to look at those solder joints unless you look at them with X-ray. And we often think of leadless components as something as simple as BGAs, but if you look at what people are doing with multi-layers now and package, the amount of inspection that has to go into those sites is incredible, the number of things you're trying to learn from those devices.
Yeah, and if you're trying to do it as an inline system as well, then you've got a hell of a lot more to look at, and you don't have any time to do it.
Well, that's a key point. And if you look at all of us in the X-ray world, we're all speeding up our machines. In fact, in the last couple of months, we've actually doubled our speed over the previous generation software. So you're going to see, I think what you'll see the demand go up. You're going to see the cycle times of the machines going down. And I think as the volumes increase, you'll even see the pricing on the X-ray machines come down so they're a little bit more affordable.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Having someone sitting here saying the price of my machine's probably going to come down it's a first for me, I have to be honest.
Well, they all do, right? When SPI first came out, they were pretty expensive machines, and now you can get some really good SPI machines for, right around $100,000. So I think you'll see the same is true as we kind of more mass-produce X-ray machines through the years.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, isn't it, really? As the volumes go up, then you've got economies of scale and all the rest of the stuff on the back of it.
100%. Agree with you. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, Jeff, thank you very much for coming in and sharing with us with the exciting things that are going on with SAKI. And I wish you success in growing your rep network over here. And hope to sit back here and see you in person next year.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much.